Look at a steady stream of electrons in a wire. If they stay perfectly still, the magnetic needle of a compass placed next to it will not move. But the moment those electrons begin to drift, the needle snaps into a perpendicular alignment, revealing a powerful force that simply did not exist a moment ago. This is the fundamental mystery of electromagnetism. Why does the mere act of motion generate a magnetic field? And why does that field choose such a specific swirling geometry? To answer this, we must look past the abstract lines on a textbook page and examine the Biot-Savart Law as a literal physical map of three-dimensional space. To understand where magnetic fields originate, we start by breaking a current-carrying wire into infinitely small pieces called differential elements, denoted as dl. Each of these tiny segments acts as a source for a tiny portion of the total magnetic field, which we call dB. The Biot-Savart Law tells us that this field dB is proportional to the current I and the length of the segment, but its direction is dictated by a geometric operation known as the cross product. When we write dB equals mu naught over 4 pi times I dl times I hat over r squared, we are not just looking at a calculation, but a set of instructions for how the field occupies the space around the wire. But how do we visualize this cross product in a way that makes the direction of the force intuitive? Imagine a vector dl pointing in the direction of the current, and a second vector r pointing from the wire to a specific spot in the room. The cross product, dl times I hat, forces the resulting magnetic field to be perfectly orthogonal to both. This means that if the current is moving up and you are looking at a point to its right, the magnetic field is not pushing toward you or away from the wire, it is diving into the page. This perpendicularity is the reason magnetic fields never look like the radiating spikes of an electric field. Instead, they form closed loops. If the field must always be perpendicular to the displacement vector, the only path it can take is a circle. What happens, though, to the strength of this circular field as we move further away into the surrounding space? As distance r increases, the magnetic field contributed by each tiny wire segment drops off following an inverse square law, the r squared in our denominator. However, because a real wire consists of infinite segments stretching in both directions, their combined geometry softens this drop-off. The total field thins out linearly, proportional to 1 over r, creating a density gradient that weakens as you move away. Visually, imagine the wire inside concentric cylinders. Each cylinder represents a shell of constant field strength. Crucially, the field cannot exist in the same direction as the current. If you face the electron's path directly, the field is zero, which raises questions about how everyday motors harness this force. Think of a common wood screw being driven into a board. To move the screw forward, you must rotate it clockwise. This is the perfect physical analogy for the relationship between current and magnetic fields. If the direction the screw moves represents the current I, the rotation of your hand represents the magnetic field B wrapping around it. Just as the screw cannot move forward without that rotation, a charge cannot move through space without generating this angular magnetic flux. This mechanical coupling is built into the vacuum of space itself. However, a single tiny segment of wire is never alone. To find the field of a real object, we have to account for every single segment of the wire simultaneously. Calculating the total field requires us to perform a line integral. Integral I dl cross r hat over r squared, summing up the contributions from every dl along the entire path of the current. For an infinitely long straight wire, the math simplifies beautifully. The components of the field that might point up or down cancel each other out due to symmetry, leaving only the pure circular rotation. This result, B equals mu 0 I over 2 pi r, shows us that the field lines are perfect circles centered on the wire. The geometry tells us that the magnetic field is a vortex, a continuous swirl with no beginning and no end. But what happens to this vortex when we bend the wire into a circle? When the wire forms a loop, the geometry of the Biot-Savart Law produces a focused beam of magnetic flux. At the very center of the loop, every tiny segment dl along the circumference contributes a field vector that points in the exact same direction. While the field still wraps around the wire itself, these individual contributions reinforce each other in the middle, creating a straight, powerful vector through the center of the hoop. This is the principle behind electromagnets. By stacking these loops into a cylinder, known as a solenoid, we can effectively straighten the magnetic field lines, mimicking the behavior of a permanent bar magnet. We are essentially using geometry to harvest and steer the field. This 3D geometric arrangement isn't just a mathematical convenience, it's a requirement of special relativity. When a charge moves, the space around it contracts from its perspective. The magnetic field we observe is actually the relativistic correction of the electric field from the moving charge. This is why the field must be perpendicular to the motion. If it were in any other direction, it would violate the way space and time interact. The Biot-Savart Law is the low-velocity tool we use to describe this complex intersection of geometry and physics. It treats the vacuum as a medium that reacts to the shear of a moving charge by creating a rotational force. In every practical application, from the hard drive in a computer to the massive generators in a dam, we are simply manipulating these cross-products. We arrange wires in specific shapes to force the magnetic field into the density and direction we need. We use the 1/r² relationship to ensure sensors are placed at the exact distance required to detect tiny fluctuations in current. The Biot-Savart Law gives us the blueprint for the shape of the invisible world, showing us that magnetism is not a separate entity, but a geometric consequence of electricity and motion. However, this clear geometric picture becomes much more complicated when the magnetic field hits a boundary between completely different materials. When we move from the empty space of air into a dense piece of iron or a solid copper shield, the precise vectors we just calculated suddenly change their orientation and magnitude. This behavior is never random. It follows a strict set of boundary conditions that govern how fields must distort to stay consistent with the fundamental laws of physics. To understand why these invisible lines of force snap, shift, and refract at the edge of a material, you must see the exact mechanical process explained in the next video, why magnetic fields bend.